Hey guys, hey, today we're going to be doing some log replacements, or at least the beginnings, starting the process. What we're going to be working on is the first, second, and third course of these dark logs from this door frame all the way to this corner. Now, I did want to mention that you're seeing a difference in color. We've started sanding these upper courses of logs. They used to look like these lower courses. How do I know which logs are decayed? Well, like this one, obviously the face of it is falling apart with rot, so we know there's decay there. Another thing I look for are bug holes. And so, for example, right here, you can see bug holes, and we know this area is decayed. Now, bug holes aren't a for sure sign that there's decay there, but many bugs will go after unsound wood first. Another thing I look for are logs that stay constantly wet. So these logs on this first, second, and third course have a tremendous amount of backsplash. And so most of our decay are in these first two courses. When I'm investigating an area that I think there may be decay in, I will typically tap on the logs and listen for a sound difference. And I'll take something like it's hard metal, like this chisel. So right here, I know that there's decay, but hopefully you can hear it in the video here. So if I tap on a log that I know is not decayed, you can hear that sound. I know this has decay in it. And so listen for a different echo. If I tap here, you can hear those two very well. Or at least I hope you can. I can hear it. But so one of the things I do is I'm going around the house, and the areas that I know that there is some decay in, I will go through and tap and listen to the hollowness echo inside, and mark these areas the best that we can. Now, we can't identify all the decay. Some of it you'll identify when you start cutting out the logs. But this is one method to help you try to figure out which logs are decayed. Okay, let me take you inside and we'll look at the inside, what we've done. Okay, we have put plastic up on this wall here, and we did that to keep the dust down to a minimum, because once we start cutting and sanding and grinding, it's going to get real dusty in here. And another thing you always want to look for are gas lines like that one, or electrical. And this electrical was an outlet, and we're going to be pulling those wires down here in just a minute. Another thing that's in the wall are screws or spikes. You want to locate them the best that you can. When I'm trying to find these screws or spikes in logs, I'll typically use a metal detector like this. I'll run it down the outside and I'll run it down the inside. And if we turn it on, whenever it beeps, when I run it down the log, we know that there's metal in it. It'll beep just like that. So if I do an example here, we know there's a spike right there. There's going to be a spike right there. So I would mark these areas, and this will save me a lot of chainsaw chains from hitting spikes that I can't see. Now, it may not get everything, but it helps tremendously. All right, let's talk just a little bit about using a chainsaw. Now, please familiarize yourself with your particular chainsaw, your brand, all the safety information, precautions. And so I'm just letting you know how I do it when I work with the chainsaw. So when I'm working with the chainsaw, I'm going to be making a lot of plunge cuts. And what I mean by plunge cuts is that means I'm going to be sticking the tip into the wall itself. Now, this is dangerous because that's when typically more of your kickback occurs. So to be as safe as I can, this is your kickback guard. And so I keep my wrist, my left hand wrist, close to that kickback guard. So if it does ride up that log, which it's going to at times, and want to kick back, it's going to hit my wrist and stop the chain and hopefully not hurt me. Now, when I cut into the wall itself, I don't immediately start going through like that. What I'll do is I'll have the chainsaw at an upward angle, and once I cut a little ways into the wall, then I'll make my plunge cut, and go all the way through the wall. Now, for example, if I'm cutting out 3 courses, I'm gonna make a series of cuts, which you'll see in just a minute, down the wall. If there's a window or door close by, we'll have a guy inside that I'm watching closely. And if I don't want to cut that 4th course or nick it at all. And so once I'm through the wall and I'm going up close to that 4th course, I've got somebody letting me know, you know, how far to go on the inside, which I can't see, and when to stop. I think we'll go ahead and take all that out first. Here's a shot of the decayed logs that we're cutting out. And I wanted to stop just for a minute and show you how the decay has formed in the middle. And one reason it's so important to caulk these joints, of course, they're getting a tremendous amount of backsplash hitting the deck here, splashing back on these logs. And when water finds a way in, like in this broken joint, it a lot of times will get in the middle. Maybe there was another crack in the middle, form there. Fungus will grow where it's moist. The sun doesn't get to it, and it will decay. Eventually, this would decay all the way through, and this face would fall off. Okay, so this is a section we've cut out so far. We've left a couple logs over there, which are going to come out. But now we're going to put in a couple jacks so we can continue to cut out further and still have support on the house. But we have a new problem, which isn't unusual when you have decay. The decay has just gone further. It has gotten into the subfloor and appears to be on the ends of the floor joist, and the rim joist, which is the outer joist, is pretty much gone. So we'll open that up and see what that looks like here in just a minute. Okay, we've got the decayed subfloor removed, and we've got this one jack in on the corner. We'll be putting another jack in over here on this area before we keep cutting out. But I wanted you to see what the joist situation is. So you can see this rim joist, which is this front joist. It's gone. The ends of the floor joists are bad, so we'll have to strengthen those. And everything we'll do, we'll do it with treated lumber, which you'll see as we go forward. Hey guys, this is the second day in the process of replacing the decayed logs and decayed floor joists in this section of the house. It's raining outside, so we put up the tarps so we can keep on working and keep it dry. This morning we also took out the front door, some of the trim and framing around it. And what I want to talk about is electrical. And so it's not uncommon for an electrician when the house is built to run electric in the cavity of a door frame to get to, for example, in this case, a light switch. It's also not uncommon if every log was drilled as they're stacking them in electrical to run straight up to the switch through the logs. Now, the reason I want to point this out is if someone, like these 3 wires up here, if someone was nailing some trim with some long nails, if you used a 3-inch or 3.5-inch nail, you got a good chance of hitting those wires. So the point I wanted to make is just be very careful of what you're screwing into or nailing into, because you never know, there could be a wire behind it. Here's a look at the existing floor joist after we've removed this outer rim joist, which was decayed. This treated 2x8 is what's going to go in its place. We're also going to be using treated alongside these existing floor joists, and we're going to fasten to them heavily. They have some decay on the ends, and we want to strengthen those. Why are we using treated? Well, these existing floor joists are sitting directly on this concrete stem wall. So normally you'd have a treated piece of lumber, which is called a sill plate, to have separation between the concrete and the untreated wood. Since we don't have that, we want our components to be treated that we install. Also, it's a high moisture area. In the crawl space, there's not much room. There's only about 12 inches from the ground to the bottom of the joists. I think rule of thumb is 6 to 8 inches or less. You would go with treated, but since we're close to that and being high moisture, we are going to use treated on this area. All right, we're in the crawl space and it's tight up here. Not fun either. But we're getting these joists in. As I said, we're putting in about 4-foot sections. Let me turn the camera around and show you. Okay, so there's our rim joist up here, and here are the floor joists. Here's the treated that we're putting on. They're about 4-foot sections. You can see we've gone all the way from the other end. To get these joists in here, we'll push one end up against that rim joist, what you're seeing up there, that outer joist. And the other end typically needs to be pushed up with the jack. It's not heavy and not a lot of pressure, but you can see there's a gap at the top, and we want that level. So we'll raise it just a little bit, if I can do that holding the camera, till we're flush at the bottom and there we are, flush at the top. And then what we'll do after that is we will screw it, fasten it very heavily, about every 4 inches, 4 screws vertically all the way down. Here's a quick look of the new joists that we replaced. You can see the outer rim joist, the floor joist. It's about a 20-foot section, and I am glad to get out of that crawl space. So the next step, we'll put on the little piece of subfloor, and then we will be ready to start up with the logs. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, please hit that subscribe button. Also, check us out at loghomeresources.com, where you'll find a lot more information just like this to help you with your log home. Thank you.